sebetulnya kalau dilihat begitu ya Pak, bagaimana prospek startup di 2023 dan juga sebetulnya strategi apa yang harus dilakukan gitu ya agar perusahaan ini mampu bertahan bahkan kalau bisa untung di tengah hantaman ketidakpastian global di tahun 2023, kemudian juga kan ada musim dingin atau winter pendanaan di ekosistem startup yang memang mungkin sepertinya dapat berlanjut selama 12 hingga 18 bulan lagi. Artinya memang industri ini masih harus bergulat dengan banyak gejolak dan juga ketidakstabilan. Bagaimana Anda melihat hal ini, Pak Pandu?
Bagus sih kalau ada gejolak, ya kan. Kalau banyak masalah ya bagus lah. Karena di situ ada banyak kesempatan. Jadi yang saya titipin buat para founder-founder atau companies that invest, fokus on the core and how do you get organic growth, ya kan. Sebenarnya ini kesempatan emas to strengthen your position and catapult your position sebagai bisa menjadi nomor satu. Nah, untuk menjadi nomor satu, rather than bahasa tadi burning cash to win market share, why don't you consolidate players yang ada. Another mindset is also to look at the online to offline, and this is specific to some business. Coba lihat online to offline channel for your business, karena banyak kan pemain offline itu udah profitable. Jadi ambil arbitrage valuasi yang ada in your business to consolidate your position. Nah, consolidate your position satu, misalnya Anda beli online to offline, itu seperti membeli jaringan distribusi, membeli jaringan logistik untuk bisnis Anda. And this is very specific to B2C commerce business, ya kan? Untuk para pemain-pemain di fintech logistik, maybe this is the right time to work together to gain more bargaining power and have a position. Nah, karena di e-commerce sendiri pun everyone is consolidating. Karena this is all about bargaining power in the value chain. Terakhir yang misalnya industri di fintech contohnya, how do you gain customers profitably? Ya, one of the things I know that has been a hot topic last year was digital banks. People rushing away to be in the digital bank. But at the end of the day, how many digital bank players yang bakal ada? Maybe 3, 4 max. Nah, di situ coba cari product market fit yang sangat jelas buat saya, and how do you bikin ini menjadi profit dalam waktu 2-3 tahun ke depan. Karena semua investor masih mencari jalan yang sangat jelas lah untuk bisa mencapai profitabilitas. Jadi tahun 2023 menurut saya tahun yang sangat menarik. Saya malah melihatnya optimis karena akan banyak sekali terjadi reshaping dari sisi industri. Mungkin akan ada yang merger lagi, mungkin ada yang konsolidasi lagi. And the winner from this will essentially be the ultimate winner untuk 5-10 tahun ke depan. Jadi 2023 itu menurut saya adalah tahun yang sangat menarik. Dan terakhir, untuk perusahaan-perusahaan startup yang baru, kemungkinan besar kualitasnya atau vintage 2023 ini bisa sangat bagus, ya kan? Ini kan kalau kita invest tuh ada vintage ya, vintage 2018, 19, 20. 2023 ada potensi yang sangat bagus. Kenapa? Karena kualitas foundernya sudah memikir bukan aja market share at all cost, tapi bagaimana saya bisa mencari solusi yang pas dengan menggunakan capital yang tidak terlalu besar. Jadi ini menurut saya mindset yang bisa menjadi sangat baik.
Oke, masih promising di tahun-tahun mendatang. For Mr. Anas, how do you see Indonesia and India startup industry prospect in the future? Is it still promising, and what are the strategies need to be done to survive in this winter funding? Is that massive layoffs? Is it the only way of efficiency?
I think you may have to look at what happened during dot-com bubble. When during dot-com bubble, I think Amazon's valuation was almost down by 90%, if I'm not wrong, right? And you know where Amazon is now. So I think one important factor that any startup that might have to think about now is to basically focus on cost, right? That's very, very important. Cost levers and having control on cost levers to survive the next 18 to 24 months is possibly the most important thing that has to be done. Because this is a cycle, right? This funding window is not going to be continued for the rest of the next 100 years. After 2 to 3 years, it's going to come back and the growth will be valued more as well. That's one very important thing to understand. So we should not lose hope. Focus on the cost cutting and hire the right people. Don't make sure that you focus on your core business model, try to bring efficiencies, make sure your customers are aligned, all those kind of points. So So it's a cycle. We just need to survive the whole cycle. That's number one. Regarding the future of, from an Indian context, we've been putting on the Hurun rich list and the startup and future unicorn list for a while. Just to give you some bit of perspective, India's GDP is currently about $3 trillion, right? And many estimate that we'll double our GDP in possibly next by the end of the decade, which will be 6 to 7 trillion. When we put out our first Hurun India rich list in 2012, we had absolutely no startup founders in the list, right? And fast forward, the current Hurun India rich list has about 112 founders of startups in the list. So what I'm trying to tell you here is the GDP of the growth in GDP for India in the next decade is going to be driven by a lot of new billion-dollar or super valuable businesses coming from India. And the super valuable businesses, most of it I would like to believe that a good proportion of that would come from the startup ecosystem, but which would mean that there'll be a lot more startup wealth creators. And when more startup wealth creation happens, there'll be a circle of life sort of thing where these guys will start investing back into new startups and so on. So I think it's very bright from an Indian context, where in terms of the growth is going to be, there'll be new untapped sectors like EV, sustainability, agro-tech. All these sectors are going to gain a lot of prominence in the next few years. So to summarize, I think this is just a temporary funding winter. One has to focus on the cost and continue to look at it, and the startup future in India is really bright. So anybody who's watching this channel, come and invest in India. It's a great place to invest.
Oke, terima kasih.